Lady expects me to take her cart, gets flipped off. This happened a few months ago. To set the scene, I'm in the Costco parking lot and I've got my infant in a carrier strapped to my chest, so pretty obvious that I don't work here. I had just unloaded all of my bulk-sized goodies into the car and was returning my cart to the corral because I'm not an animal. Along the way, I saw a stray cart, and since I had a free hand, I opted to return it to the corral as well. As I'm walking back to my car, some Karen 3 spaces away from the corral tries to flag me down. Wait there, I've only got a few more items to unload and you can take my cart. Nope. Didn't break my stride and kept on walking. What do you mean no? What's your name? I'm going to talk to your manager. At this point, I turn to walk backward, point to my baby, flip her a double bird, and turn back around so I wouldn't walk into a car. Karen's face turned bright red and I thought she was going to have an aneurysm, but she didn't say anything else. Baby didn't wake up either.
Lady insisted that I worked at a daycare. I told this story at work, and my colleagues said I should post it here because it is just too silly. I recently started a job as a senior project manager, so basically I wear fancy clothing every day. Aside from that, I am pretty successful at contributing to the population growth as a baby factory that has pooped out 4 kids. My oldest is old enough to go to school and the second is starting preschool next week. On Fridays he always plays around at the daycare together with my youngest 2, which are twins. This morning I was dropping them off. My oldest daughter was there too, so I could drop her off at school, so I was there playing a bit. With 4 kids around me, I always take some time to build or puzzle a bit with my kids before I leave. A lady comes in with a young toddler. She puts him on the floor and drops a list of demands like, this is name, he wants his milk cold and at 10, 12 and 1. He likes cars, so make sure he has some to play with. He has a nap after his last glass of milk, and so on. I didn't mind, I was like that too at first, and while I didn't understand why she would think that someone in high heels and a business formal suit would work there, she probably just needed to be pointed to the right person. I politely tell her, sorry, you need to be with the woman over there, wearing the shirt with the daycare logo. No, she says, I need to go, so how about you just tell her? These kids can entertain themselves for a second for sure. I understand you are in a hurry, but these are my kids and I don't. That is rude. You can't just pick the kids you like and don't bother with the others. I want to speak with your manager. So I grab my business card and write his name on the back. The second number on the front is the main desk. Call there and ask for manager name. Mention that you like to complain about my name. The names are both on the card just in case. I wrote his name on the back. He will then hear you out when he has time. He does have a busy schedule, so you might be asked to call back at a specific time. She looks about as confused as a human can look and stares at the card. I guess she wanted to save face as she eventually said, well, my bad, I forgot that you youngsters don't do it safe. And then she walked to the daycare lady. So basically she felt the need to call me out on being a young mom just because she was in the wrong, and left me with the task of telling my kids what she meant.
My doppelganger works at a Target, apparently. I went to a Target and am clearly in the middle of doing some massive grocery shopping. It was for me and my 2 roommates. One was sick and the other was working that night, so I had them make a list so I can pick it up for them and they look at the receipt to pay me back later. I was double checking the lists to make sure I got everything they asked for when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turn and see a grumpy looking woman. I've been looking for someone to help me over in the women's clothing department for 30 minutes. She tells me. I look around for a moment confused. One, because clearly I'm not an employee, and also the grocery section is on the complete opposite side of the store from the clothing departments. What am I supposed to do about that? She scoffs at me. You work here, come help me. I don't work here. I say, still confused. Nonsense. I've seen you working here. Come help me or get one of your co-workers to come help me. I've never worked here, and I don't know anyone who does work here. So go find an actual employee. Don't lie to me. Help me or I'll report you, and you'll be fired. I can't be fired from a job I don't even have, dumbass. Excuse me? You can't talk to a customer like that. I don't work here, and I'll talk to your rude ass however I feel like. Now kindly go fuck in the direction of off. I walked off but she followed me, screaming at me. I made it to the checkout lines and I purposefully went to the one with the cashier wearing a button-up instead of a polo shirt, cause the managers always wear the button-ups. Mom, are you a manager? The woman asks before I can even say anything. Yes, is that the problem? The manager asks. This employee of yours cussed me out. I want her fired. She doesn't work here. That's bullshit. I saw her working the other day. Her name is. That's when the other cashier in the other lane turned round at the sound of her name, and made herself known. I wish I had a picture of that lady's face when she realized her mistake. Apparently me and that employee looked almost identical, save for my eyes being grey-blue, and hers were light brown. We even had similar haircuts.
Wait. You thought I worked here? Oh no. I don't really know if this one is as exciting as other posts here, but this experience comes to my mind every time I see this subreddit name. A few years ago I worked in education and would grocery shop after work every day. I dressed professionally for my job at the college, and I didn't change into casual clothes before leaving the campus. I also had a tendency of not using a basket in the store because I would just pick up a couple items, usually something for dinner. I always started in the produce section. So when this happened I was empty-handed and debating what kind of vegetable I felt like roasting up that evening. An elderly woman approached me, and she said, "Excuse me, but would you help me with picking out some fruit? I don't have my glasses with me and there's so many options." So I said sure. First it was a peach. Her husband didn't like any squishy spots. Then she mentioned she was making stuffed peppers, so I helped her pick a few good ones. I guess I should have thought something was odd when she asked what kind of pepper would go well with ground beef filling. But I just thought she was curious for a third-party opinion. She kept asking me to help her with things, and so I just started following her and picking everything out, carrying her basket for her after a while. After about 15 minutes I started wondering if everything was okay, since asking a stranger to do this seemed a bit odd. I genuinely didn't mind, but was getting a little concerned that she might need more help in life than she was receiving. Maybe she needed a caregiver to help her out. But then she said, "When do you end up getting your shipments in for bananas?" And I said, "I'm not sure when they get them. I could ask someone who works here though, if you'd like." She looked like she'd just witnessed a murder. She stopped dead in the deli meat section, turned around, and said, "You don't work here." I said no. At this point realizing what's happened. But your clothes. You look like a manager here. You're wearing the red and everything." At this point I actually felt badly, and I told her that I worked for XYZ college just down the freeway, and that my red shirt was part of my normal wardrobe. I actually ended up apologizing for confusing her. She just kind of waved it off, all flustered, and then started saying, "I'm so sorry" on repeat while taking her basket back from me. I tried to tell her that I really didn't mind, but she seemed so embarrassed that she rushed away from me. I never saw her again. The look on her face was so horrified. 4 years later, and I cringe thinking about it sometimes, the social awkwardness of it all. I kind of feel like I should have mentioned something sooner, but I had no idea that she thought I was an employee. Hopefully it can give someone else a bit of a chuckle. I got confused for a manager employee a couple more times in that outfit, though not to that extent. I started changing before I left the campus after that.
What do you mean a 13-year-old doesn't work here? So, obligatory apology for posting via mobile. Also, this story is from a few years ago, so the details are fuzzy. TLDR, a good Samaritan act on my part gets Karen banned. So back in 2012 a small storm by the name of Sandy was a couple days away and everyone was running around getting batteries, water, etc. My ex-military dad thought we were all good until he was doing his checks and found one of our flashlights was just not working. Either the bulb or the wires, who knows. So he readied himself to go out into the craziness and brought me along to get some soup. I was hella sick. We arrive at our local Big Lots and my dad goes in while I stay outside due to the lights making my headache much worse. While I was waiting I saw that some of the carts had rolled away due to the wind, and since I felt bad about the poor soul who would be forced outside, started to put them away. In comes Karen. Hello. Do y'all have any water? Not realizing she's talking to me, ignores. Hello. My head jerks up and I look at her, wiping my nose on my jacket sleeve. Oh, were you talking to me? Who else would I be talking to? Super condescending. What did you say? Super slow, like I'm an idiot. I said, do you guys have water? Oh, I don't know. I don't work here, so you should head inside and ask them. Karen scoffs and stares at me like I'm a piece of crap on her shoe. Stop lying to me before I get your manager. Of course you work here. Now, in case you didn't know, Big Lots employee's uniform is an orange apron with the store's logo on it. At least it was back then, with a company shirt and black slacks/pants, and closed shoes, and are over 18. I, on the other hand, am 13, and 5 feet, was wearing a bright pink jacket, Cookie Monster PJ pants with a Twilight shirt because, again, I'm hella sick. I'm also coughing every few seconds. Ma'am, I'm 13, so I don't work here. Now please leave me alone. Karen's eyes go wide and her face red. I got super scared, especially when I realized I didn't have my phone on me, so I started to head inside to find my dad. Just as I stepped in the interior doors I felt a vulture-like grip on my arm before I was dragged to the closest register. I demand to speak to the manager. I want this employee fired this instant. The poor cashier was frozen due to shock from seeing a banshee dragging some strange kid in the store. Luckily the manager was already there, currently checking out my father. Upon seeing me my dad raced over and pulled me to him. Excuse me, why is your hand on my daughter? Karen jabbed her finger towards my dad before saying, because you didn't raise her correctly and she is doing her damn job. She is 13 years old, you crazy bitch. Before Karen could respond the manager stepped in and asked what was going on. Karen immediately started spouting that I was rude, refused to help her, and that I was clearly out of uniform. The manager gave me and my snot-nosed disgusting face one look. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. What? Reprimand your employee? Ma'am, I have never seen this girl before in my life. As it is, you have assaulted a customer who you thought was an employee, so you are now banned. How dare you? Do you know how much money I've spent here? If you want I can call the police and they could settle this. Karen sputtered before literally running away. The cashier ran after her and got her license plate. The manager offered to still call the cops for my dad, but after I literally begged him for us to just go home, tears may or may not have been involved, my dad decided not to. He bought the new flashlights and batteries with some hefty discounts and a lot of coupons for the whole ordeal. We went back a few more times to use the coupons before giving them to friends. Surprisingly my dad didn't like going back there all that much after this.